On the day I married Dominic Westwood, my mother was killed in a hit-and-run. The driver? Ivy Mercer, the little princess Dominic had raised with his own hands. The traffic police released the dashcam footage. Ivy had been driving a Maybach. She hit my mother, dragged her for dozens of kilometers. By the time the car stopped, there was barely anything left of her body, bones exposed, beyond recognition. She went too far this time. No matter what you decide, I'll stand by you, Dominic told me. It was the first time in our 8-year relationship that he actually took my side. I filed a lawsuit against Ivy for intentional homicide, but the night before the trial, Dominic handed me a blank check and said coldly, Ivy made a mistake. She was young and reckless. I've already punished her. Elena, if she goes to prison, her life will be ruined. To stop me from showing up in court, he locked me pregnant in the basement for 3 days and nights. That was the moment I finally understood. Dominic would never choose me, not when it really mattered. 3 days later, he opened the heavy basement door and stepped in. Elena, he said, sitting down across from me, have you thought about withdrawing the lawsuit? No concern, no apology, just another plea for her. I looked up, jaw clenched, voice shaking with resolve. I will never drop the charges. I will make Ivy pay. In the dim light, I could barely see his face, but his eyes were cold and unreadable. She's young, he repeated, as if that excused everything. She had a few drinks and hit your mother by accident. I'll pay compensation. Write whatever number you want on the check. Your mother was 60. At most, the payout's $1 million. You're still coming out ahead, Elena. Coming out ahead? The words punched the air from my lung. My stomach turned, cold sweat soaking my back. Dominic, that was my mother. She gave me life, raised me. How dare you put a price on that? Ivy knew she hit her. She kept driving. She dragged her. That's not a mistake. That's murder. Dominic's patience snapped. His brow furrowed. Voice harder now. Elena, I'm giving you one last chance. His assistant placed a tablet in front of me. The screen lit up with a video. A feed from the hospital. My father, now a vegetable, lay alone in his bed. A shadowy figure stood beside him, holding a pair of scissors pointed at his oxygen tube. Drop the case or save your father. Choose. I froze. My blood surged in reverse, flooding my brain. I screamed, but Dominic grabbed my arms, forcing me still. Think carefully, he said coldly. Are you really going to throw your life away over a dead woman? His words sliced through me like ice. Back when Dominic first inherited the Westwood family business, he made enemies with his iron-fisted, no-compromise style. At a trade fair, someone retaliated. He was kidnapped. My father, a senior police officer, led the rescue mission. He took a bullet to save Dominic's life. After that, Dominic brought us, my mother and me, into his world. He paid for all of my father's medical care, treated me like family. For 5 years, he cared for me, showed up for every little thing in my life. I fell in love without even realizing it. When I graduated college, he proposed in front of the entire school. He promised me the happiest marriage in the world. And now, here we are. He broke that promise. The day Dominic's precious Ivy returned from studying abroad, he made his choice. And it wasn't me. I stared into his dark eyes, my voice trembling with fury. Dominic, have you forgotten? My father became a vegetable saving your life, and now you're letting them pull his oxygen tube. For her? For Ivy, who has lied, cheated, and killed. I was shaking, my lips quivering. Even with the truth in front of me, I still couldn't believe it. That he would go this far. That he would do this for her. Dominic closed his eyes and exhaled, slow and heavy. Elena, I've punished her. She knows what she did was wrong. We're all family. There's no need to drag this through court and make it ugly. I knew exactly what his so-called punishment meant. A few days locked up. Her card was suspended for a week. The same meaningless gestures I'd seen a dozen times in the past 8 years. After Ivy returned, anytime Dominic and I spent more than a few quiet minutes together, her phone calls would come. Tears, suicide threats, scandals that needed cleaning up. He always told me to ignore her, and then he'd disappear to be by her side. Every time, he chose her. Every time, I was left behind. And when I confronted him, he'd smooth it over with a few gentle lies. Elena, she's been an orphan since she was a child. I raised her. She's my responsibility. She's a little spoiled, sure, but not a bad person. We should be more tolerant. We're older. I believed him until she killed my mother. She ran her down in the street just to stop us from getting married. Even then, I thought Dominic would finally draw a line, but he didn't. All his so-called principles, all his promises, they were never for me. His heart had always belonged to her. I stared at the video again, my mother's final moments replaying in brutal clarity, and the tears I had held back for weeks finally spilled over. Dominic, I whispered, voice hollow. Fine. I'll withdraw the lawsuit. Surprise flickered in his eyes. A slow, triumphant smile crept across his lip. Elena, I knew you were the most sensible one. Let's have our wedding again in 7 days, okay? A proper one this time. I didn't nod, didn't shake my head. I just picked up the pen and signed the withdrawal. Every stroke sliced through me like a blade. That night, I saw her post on Instagram story. Ivy, smiling at a lavish party, toasting her freedom, surrounded by luxury gifts. The most eye-catching was a rare vintage watch, worth $3 million, auctioned by Dominic himself at his last charity gala. Thank you to my dearest uncle for giving me countless lives. Dominic's profile was among the 8 years. He never once liked my post, but hers? He never missed a single one. When I asked, he always said, "She's a little girl. If I don't like her post, she throws a tantrum." I never fought with him over her. I chose to believe his explanation. But now, she had taken my mother's life, and he was celebrating her freedom. I stood by the window, hand resting on my belly. This child was once the gift I wanted to give him. Now, I couldn't. Just like that half-finished wedding, we would never see the second half. I picked up the phone and called the hospital. "Hello, I'd like to schedule an abortion." My voice was calm, quiet. I looked down at my flat stomach. Then I looked away. Later, I held a funeral for my mother. The funeral parlor was filled with her favorite gardenia. That day, Dominic arrived, and he brought Ivy, still holding her hand. When I entered the funeral parlor, I saw Ivy stepping forward to light incense at the altar. "Who told you to touch that?" I snapped. I struck the incense from her hand with a sharp slap. Ash scattered, landing on the back of her hand. Ivy yelped and jumped back, straight into Dominic's arm. "Uncle, it burns," she cried, cradling her hand. Dominic looked at the slight red mark on her skin, his eyes darkening with anger. "She was just trying to pay her respects, Elena. Did you really have to hurt her?" Ivy turned her tearful gaze to me, pitiful as ever. "Elena, I'm sorry. I only went to the wedding to bring you a gift. I didn't know things would turn out like that. Uncle's already punished me. I truly regret what I did." She was playing innocent again, and, as always, Dominic fell for it. I used to let it go for his sake, but not anymore. I turned to him, my voice cold. "Dominic, I'll say it one more time. Take her away." Everyone in the hall knew it was Ivy who killed my mother. Whispers rippled through the crowd, and eyes turned toward her, full of blame. Her pitiful expression twisted into rage. She was just an old woman. Even if I hadn't hit her, she'd have died soon anyway. And if Uncle hadn't forced me to come light incense, do you think I'd want to be here? Before anyone could stop her, Ivy stormed forward and grabbed my mother's urn. "You don't want me to burn incense?" she sneered. "Then no one will." My heart nearly stopped. "No." The urn slipped from her hands. A sharp crack rang out as it hit the ground. Then silent. Ash scattered in the air like dust in sunlight. Gasps filled the hall. I dropped to my knees, trying to gather what was left of my mother. My hands trembled. My eyes burned, but I forced the tears back. Behind me, Ivy had gone mad, knocking over the morning table, shattering vases, tearing down the wreath. The funeral was ruined. I gathered what ashes I could, placed them on a cloth, and walked out of the hall. Dominic caught up with me. "Ivy just has a bad temper. She couldn't handle everyone blaming her," he said quietly. "She went too far this time. I'll take care of the funeral arrangements. Don't worry." His words made me sick. I glanced at his hand gripping my arm. "There's no need." I pushed him away gently, my voice drained of emotion. I had no energy left to argue. Dominic stared at his empty hand, stunned. I hadn't even made it down the steps when my phone rang. "Miss Shaw," the nurse said urgently. "Your father's oxygen tube was pulled out." Her words hit me like thunder. I rushed to the hospital, clutching the bundle of ashes on my chest. But when I arrived, his body was already covered with a white sheet. "Who did this?" I screamed. "Who got into his room?" "I hired new guards, new nurses." "How did this happen?" The head nurse knelt on the floor, trembling. "It was Miss Mercer. She said your father was wasting hospital resources, and the board agreed to stop treatment. She has shares in this hospital." No one dared to say no. My vision blurred with rage.